Hi everyone, this is just another one of those videos where I talk to the camera, but a couple of reasons why I wanted to make this video. One, update you on a couple of things, and second of all, I wanted to respond to a video that I posted recently, my Living Without Regret video. Just a couple of comments that I got from that video which I want to respond to, and some things that I want to clarify on that. First of all, just to update you, I am back in London now after being in Newcastle to view some flats up there and debating whether I want to live in Newcastle or stick with Carlisle. Ultimately, I've decided to stick with Carlisle. The main appeal to me for Carlisle, even though Newcastle's a much bigger city, I still have a lot of friends and family in Carlisle, and big appeal to me as well is it being so close to the Lake District, and which is great, not just for the fun of hiking around the Lake District, but particularly for my photography as well. I aim to do a lot of photography in the Lake District once I get up there, and I've started researching travel companies in the Lake District, which I want to try and target as potential clients. So that was the main reason why I've chosen Carlisle over Newcastle. So I arrived back in London to this huge report from my solicitor, which is her report on the place that I'm buying. And from looking through this, I discovered that the building that the flat is in, turns out that roof needs a bit of work done to it as well. There's no set date on that anything yet. They still need to discuss it before things move forward. However, this report tells me that the management company are talking about charging each flat £2,500 each to pay for the repairs to the roof. And as far as I understand from this report, they're also talking about increasing the monthly service charge by some substantial amount. They're talking about more than doubling it, and I just can't see how they can charge each flat £2,500 to pay for it, but then at the same time more than double the monthly service charge. So I'm trying to get more clarity from my solicitor on exactly what they are going to do, because if they are going to more than double the service charge, it's very likely that I will end up pulling out of that place as well, because that's just too much. So anyway, I'm sorry that there's so much talk and confusion and things about me trying to buy a flat and things, but unfortunately at the moment this is the situation I'm in. So what's going to happen there, I still don't know. I need to hear back from my solicitor on exactly what the management company are going to do with regards to the repairs to the roof and the service charge, but I will keep you updated, and hopefully everything will be resolved soon and I will finally be able to get settled and really start moving forward. But the main reason I wanted to make this video was to respond to my Living Without Regret video, and a couple of comments that I got on that video. I think most people who watched that got the point of the video. I was just trying to encourage and inspire people to make sure that they were living their lives to the full and ultimately trying to live without any regrets. However, I think from reading some of the comments, there may have been like one or two people who thought I was telling people to just quit their jobs and like go off and travel the world or something. You know, I specifically said in that video, I'm not telling people to just quit their jobs. When I talk about living without regrets, that's not just career related. That's like everything, you know. Like I talked about starting this YouTube channel. Initially, I put off starting a YouTube channel, but because I didn't want to live with any regrets, even though I was worried about putting out that first video, I just went ahead and done it in spite of all the little worries that I had in the back of my head. So it's not just career related, it's everything. And yeah, I'm certainly not telling people to just quit their jobs. I specifically said that in the video. The thing is, I'm doing what's right for me, and quitting my job at that time was the right thing for me. That doesn't necessarily mean it's right for you. You should do what's right for you. I'm doing what's right for me, you should do what's right for you. But again, talking specifically about my situation, someone had asked like how I was doing what I'm doing, how I'm managing to live in London without a job, travel, things like that. Well, I did include some of that information when I recorded that initial video, but I took it out because I didn't want the video to be too long, so I'm gonna slot in that bit of video now. Now, obviously, after my dad died towards the end of last year, and I then inherited a bit of money, which has given me like a bit of a security blanket. So that has obviously helped, given me a bit of comfort and security in being able to quit my job and not being in an immediate hurry to quickly find another just regular job. And I'm staying at my friend's at the moment as well, so I haven't got a lot of expenditures. I was always going to quit my job this year anyway. I've been wanting to quit that job for some time anyway, but essentially I was waiting on when Royal Mail got privatised. As an employee, I got given some shares in the company, but the catch with it was that we couldn't do anything with those shares for at least 3 years. So we had to wait at least 3 years before we could sell them, and if I left the job before those 3 years, then I would lose those shares. So I stuck it out for those 3 years, knowing that I would then be able to sell my shares for a little bit of money and then quit. So that was always my plan. And I was thinking originally what I would have done is I was quite interested in teaching English abroad somewhere. I didn't know which country, but that is what I would have looked into, and that's probably what I would have done, because obviously I love travel, and I think living in another country would be a great experience, and so it would give me that opportunity, and I'd be able to take photographs in a new country when I wasn't working and things. That, and just teaching kids English as well seemed like a pretty cool thing. With the shares that I sold from work and money that I inherited, that has given me a security blanket, like I say, in this period where I'm not working. But it is my intention to really push ahead with my photography as hard and as quickly as I can once I move back home, and also looking to rent out my spare room when I get this flat eventually to give me a bit of income, and also I'll be looking for a part-time job as soon as I get up there as well. I did think I would be living back home in Carlisle. I thought everything would be settled and I'd be there quite some time ago, but things have taken longer than what I thought, and I'm still in London. But the good thing is that I'm staying at my friend's, so I don't really have any of very little expenses, just food and stuff. So that's good, and that's helping me a lot. But I just don't want people to think that I've inherited a load of money and just thought, great, I can enjoy myself and not work. And that's not the case at all. So for my personal situation, as I've said, I'm living at a friend's place at the moment, so my expenses are very small. The travelling that I've done since I quit my job, most of that, pretty much all of that, was booked and paid for while I still had my job. The only thing that wasn't really was my trip to Peru. However, that trip to Peru was to do a travel photography workshop with Brendan and Jeff Bartlett. So I thought that was something really worth doing. It was specifically, to help me out with my photography and my career, and so that's why I paid for that. But everything else had been paid for before I quit my job, and from now on, the traveling that I do now is going to be. I have no immediate plans to go anywhere. My main focus now is to get settled and start trying to earn some money before I start going off and enjoying myself. I'm trying to use that money sensibly. I could just use that money to go off travel the world, just basically enjoy myself, and that would make for a great YouTube channel. There's already some very successful YouTubers out there who don't work and just literally enjoy their lives, and I could have used the money to do that, but that's not what I want to do. I'm using that money to buy a flat because I think that'd be a good investment, and I really want to focus on my achieving my dream of becoming a professional photographer. So I think buying a flat is a good investment because first of all, I'll be able to rent out the spare room. Then I don't have that constant fear of how I'm going to pay the bill. So I'm trying to be sensible about things. But yeah, basically I'm just doing what's right for me. And again, I'll repeat it again, I'm doing what's right for me, you should do what's right for you. And another point that I want to pick up on that was that there was the odd kind of comment of like people making excuses about why they can't go for their dreams. Things like, oh, I've got a mortgage, I've got a wife, I've got kids, I'm too old. Coming out with those kinds of excuses is exactly why you haven't achieved the things that you want to achieve. It's exactly why you haven't achieved these dreams that you have, because you spent your whole life telling yourself these excuses. And this is exactly my point. Yeah, there's always going to be things that make it difficult, but you have to, if you really have a dream and you really want it big enough, you have to do stuff in spite of all those things. I mean, are you the only person who's got a mortgage? Are you the only person who has a family? And is there not people who have those things who have way more difficult challenges than that, but then still achieve like huge, crazy things? To say you can't achieve the things that you want because you have a family or because you've got a mortgage, again, these are just excuses that you're telling yourself, and by continually telling yourself these excuses, you'll never ever achieve the things that you want. And it's just a way of you trying to make yourself feel better for not taking that action, but it does not mean that you can't achieve the things that you want at all. And again, this is exactly my point. When you're 80, 90 years old, whatever, 100 years old, do you want to look back on your life and think, oh, I wish I just done those things I wanted to do. I wish I hadn't have let this stop me or that stop me. I wish I just went for it and tried. Or do you want to look back and think, I'm really pleased I did that? There is some hugely successful people in the world who have overcame some ridiculous obstacles, some huge adversities, far bigger than just, oh, I had a mortgage to pay. Of course, there's some things which are going to make it challenging, but does that make it impossible? No. There might even be ways that you can turn some of those things into a positive. Maybe your wife can help you and support you. Maybe your kid goes to college with someone who has a great skill in something you're lacking, which might be able to help you. You might have a full-time job. Time might be very tight, but could you Could you find an hour or 2 hours a day? You know, if you really wanted something, could you find a bit of time to work, to at least work towards it? Just take little steps day by day. Could you find an hour? Could you get up an hour early? Could you sleep an hour later? Could you watch an hour less TV? If you really, really wanted something bad enough, you wouldn't make these excuses. You would find a way to do it. So I just wanted to respond to a couple of those comments that I've had. However, that being said, every message that I have had has been very, very supportive, and I do really, really appreciate that. It's so nice for people to take the time to write me messages of support. I mean, you didn't have to do that, and yeah, it's really great to get those messages. So thank you so much for that. I'm recording this video on a Friday, so I know my last kind of 3 videos have just been me talking to the camera, but don't worry, next week I am going to be going out a lot and taking a lot of photographs around London. So my next few videos will be more me out and about taking photos, hopefully a bit more exciting. But I wanted to, you know, address these really, really important points, because I think some of the things that I've said in the last couple of videos are like basically the most important thing, really. Stop making excuses, do what's right for you, and make sure you're living without regret. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.